Let me say good afternoon to everyone. We are delighted to have Secretary of Interior, Secretary Holland, to be with us today. I want to first acknowledge my colleagues on the City Council, Madam President of the City Council, Wardine Alexander, and all your colleagues. I see you present. I want to say a few things, and I'm going to pass the mic. And the first is this. I believe from 16th Street Baptist Church to the A.G. Gaston Motel, and all points in between, the grounds we stand on is where the civil rights movement was born. It echoes the resolve of leaders like the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, the bravery of our young people in the civil rights foot soldiers, and the belief that all people are created equal. Now, we're excited about the completion of the exterior restoration of the 1968 motel wing and courtyard, which are scheduled to be complete June of 22 of this year. Also, restoration of the original coffee shop and dining room, which is over this way, and installation of the A.G. Gaston exhibit with support of the Andrew Mellon Foundation, is also expected to be complete in June. I'd like to take a moment to step back and appreciate all those who have made this happen and successful. The National Park Service and the Department of Interior for their collaboration on the exterior restoration of the 1954 War Room, which is this back in here. I'd also like to shout out to Denise Gilmore, the Division of Social Justice and Racial Equity, and her entire team for their boots on the ground, as well as work to helping make this project continue to move forward. So thank you so much. But I want to end on this note. We have partners that make up the Civil Rights Monument, this designation. I want to acknowledge and thank my predecessor, William Bell, along with Congresswoman Terry Sewell, for actually making this happen. Thank you so much. But I want to share our collective vision, that where two historic churches sit, the Civil Rights Institute also, as well as the A.G. Gaston Motel. And that is the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument will be a historic site for visitors to experience the history as well as the significance of the events, stories, and places that chronicle the struggle for civil and human rights during the 1963 Civil Rights Campaign. The monument will feature world-class interpretive exhibits and programming to inspire visitors to become advocates for continuing to advance civil and human rights. I want to thank the Secretary and your team for being on the ground with us for a short while, but we hope through your short visit that you have the appreciation and share the passion we do for opening this up to the entire world to see. Now with that, I want to bring on Mr. Hatton. Now I got to get it right because he'll beat me up if I don't. He is the Deputy Director of the Regional Area for Park Service.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to first thank the Mayor and the City of Birmingham for being such a great partner with the National Park Service and the Department of Interior. I am Lance Hatton, Deputy Regional Director for Interior Region 2, and it is my honor to be here with you this afternoon at the A.G. Gaston Motel, which, as we know, is sacred ground and part of the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument. The National Park Service, since 2017, has been working with our partners to include the City of Birmingham, St. Paul's Methodist Church, as well as 16th Street Baptist Church and Bethel Baptist, to bring this story to not only the people who already know and lived it, but for people throughout the world. So I'm really proud of the work and the partnerships that we have here. And I'm looking forward to our continued relationships so that everyone can understand what makes this place special. We know that Dr. King, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, and many others gathered here in this place, and they thought of ways that they could peacefully challenge segregation and integrate the city of Birmingham. Through their efforts and the suffering and sacrifices of many, the 1964 Civil Rights Act was passed. So we want everyone to know about the sacrifices the people of Birmingham made to bring attention to segregation. Now, the National Park Service has a lot more work to do, and we're looking forward again to working with our partners. One of our partners is Congresswoman Terry Sue. So I'd like to introduce her, and I'll get her an opportunity to share with us a few words. Congresswoman Sue?
It's indeed a great day to be here in Birmingham, Alabama, to really soak up and preserve the amazing sights and sounds of the civil rights movement. It is my great honor as the representative of Alabama's Civil Rights District to represent the great cities, the historic cities of Birmingham, Montgomery, Selma, Tuscaloosa, Marion, and so many more. I know that my job is to make sure that we provide better opportunities and more resources for the citizens and constituents that live in my district today. But it is also our job to preserve the legacy of those who came before us in this district. I take great pride in being the member to represent Alabama's Civil Rights District, and I want to thank all of you for being a partner. The City of Birmingham, the National Park Service, the churches and the other entities that are part of the Birmingham National Monument. It is indeed an honor for us to welcome on this Black History Month the Secretary of the Interior as well as the Assistant Secretary of the Interior. I just want to say that for me, the opportunity to have President Obama make Birmingham's Civil Rights District a national monument. He signed that bill literally on the way out the door in January of 2017. It was a hard-fought battle that we would not have gotten signed had it not been for the leadership of this city, the leadership of this community, and the leadership of so many of you who are here today. Thank you. I introduced the bill into Congress to establish this national monument, but it was not enough time to get it through Congress. And so for President Obama to use the Antiquities Act to sign into law creating the Birmingham Civil Rights National Monument as one of his final acts as President of the United States is a big deal. And we in Birmingham are very honored. You know, I often say that we're just custodians of America's history. We don't own this history. It's America's history. It's Black history, but it's definitely America's history. And we could not preserve it if it weren't for the amazing National Park Service and the Department of Interior. Madam Secretary, this district has received over $12 million in National Park Service Historic Preservation of Civil Rights Sites grants. That's a lot of words. And it has gone to help restore St. Paul's United Methodist Church. It has gone to restore the 16th Street Baptist Church. It has gone to restore Bethel Baptist Church, and so many others. I brought Secretary Holland first to Selma. So we've started our day very early this morning in Selma, Alabama, and we end our day rightfully right here in Birmingham's Civil Rights National Park. So I want to just say that if we don't tell our stories, others will, and they may not get it right. I think it's really important that we tell our stories. Alabama was a part of a very painful past, but look at the great progress that we're making today. And we do so because we know from whence we come. just to look over there and see the war room and to know that the city of Birmingham is restoring it. The war room was where Martin Luther King and other members of the Southern SCLC, the Southern Leadership Conference, actually met and strategized about how to make Birmingham not Bombingham. And for that, we're all grateful. It is my great honor to now introduce the Secretary of the Department of Interior. Secretary Holland is no introduction to breaking barriers. In fact, she is the first Native American ever to serve in a presidential cabinet. She was also the first Native American woman to be party chair, Democratic Party, of New Mexico. And she was one of the first Native American women to serve in Congress, where I got to know her. She brings a wealth of knowledge and passion to this job. And she understands that the mission of the Department of the Interior is to manage, protect, preserve the vast natural resources of this country, but also cultural resources of this country. We know that our story must be preserved and must be told by us. And I thank you, Secretary Holland, for being here today. And I welcome you to the podium. And I want all of us to give a big round of applause for the Secretary of the Interior, Deb Holland.
Thank you, Congresswoman Sewell, my dear friend, my former colleague. As John Lewis used to say, our dear colleague, we would get into good trouble together all the time. So that's always, you've done a good day's work when you can say that. I want to acknowledge the staff of the National Park Service who were all here, who always do an amazing job, extremely hardworking public servants, and I'm so honored to serve alongside you. So thank you for the work that you do. And so yes, we started our day in Selma. Congresswoman Sewell and I had a chance to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and think about why we're here, why the jobs that we have are to ensure that we are making the right decisions for future generations, that my children's grandchildren and and all of everyone's grandchildren and grandchildren after that have the opportunities, as she said, to see, to touch, to understand the history that belongs to every single American. As a Native woman, as an American citizen, I have an obligation to ensure that I know my American history, and so much of that is right here in the South. And I'm very honored to be here, to have taken the tours, to have heard the stories from the foot soldiers who were there during turbulent times, who were there when violence was thrust upon them for the simple act of wanting to vote. And so, of course, as the Secretary of Interior, we are very proud to partner with Congresswoman Sewell on as many projects, of course, that we possibly can. They are all worthy of taxpayer dollars. They are all worthy because they tell the story of America. And that story deserves to be told.